Good morning, kindergarten. It's so good to see you. Today I want to read you a story that is my absolute favorite story. And a lot of times my kindergarten students have never heard it before. It's about a little animal, and his name is Oliver. And I thought this was a good story because we have two students in our class named Oliver. And my character in my story is, what kind of animal do you think it is? You're right, it's a dog. So we're going to be learning about characters and stories this month, and this is my main character. This story is all about him. And his name is Oliver Tolliver. Hey, that's a rhyme. They both sound the same at the end. Oliver Tolliver. They both say Oliver. This story is called One of Each, and it's written by Marianne Hoberman. She's the author. She's the person who wrote the story. And Marjorie Priceman is the person who drew the pictures. And we're going to learn that the pictures in stories are called illustrations. One of each. Oh, I open up my story, I see the title all over again. This is called the title page, the first page of our story that says the title again. One of each. Oliver Tolliver lived all alone in a little old tumble-down house of his own. It had one little window and one little door. This looks a lot like the house you drew yesterday. And one little carpet and one covered floor. It had one little table and one little chair and one little closet and one little stair. And one little bedroom with one little bed, with one little pillow for under his head, and one little blanket, and one little sheet, and one little bottle to warm up his feet. I do that sometimes in the winter time. I put a little bottle of warm water underneath my blankets to warm my feet up. In the one little kitchen was one little sink, and one little cupboard, all shiny and, what color is it? That's right, pink. Sink, pink. They both say ink. That's a rhyme. They sound the same at the end. And inside the cupboard, one pear, one peach, one plum, and one apple. Just one, only one, simply one. One of each. When I count them all together, we have 4, don't we? There was one, that's right, clock. If you know it, say it with me. That went tick-tock, tick-tock. And one little fireplace built out of brick. There was one little bookcase with one little book and one little mirror where someone could look. Book, look. They both say ook. That's a rhyme too. They sound the same at the end. And when Oliver Tolliver looked all around, he smiled with delight, for he liked what he found. It all seemed so fine, every one of each thing, that he felt just as happy and proud as a king. Oh, it looks like he likes to be alone. He's so happy in his home. And he said to himself, "Why, how nice it would be if someone could see this, someone besides me. Why, such a collection would certainly teach how lovely it is to have one of each. One house with one kitchen, one plum and one peach. Just one, only one, simply one of each." So Oliver Tolliver carefully dressed in his one little shirt and his one little vest, and his one little trouser and one little coat, and his one little tie around his one little throat. He put on his one little hat and on his one little head, and then Oliver Tolliver cheerfully said, "I shall walk out my door and go straight down the street, and the very first person I happen to meet is the one I will ask to come look and come see. I wonder which person that person will be." He started out walking, and soon someone came. A nice-looking person. He asked her name. She said it was Pagody, Pagody Small, and she said she was pleased to come over to call. He showed her his stove and his one little sink and his one little cupboard all shiny and pink, and his chair and his table and his one little pillow for under his head, and each time he showed her a one of each treasure, he looked for a sign of enjoyment or pleasure. Do you think she's going to like all his one of each things? Do you think Pagody will like that? Let's see. All she said she did was she just repeat the same speech. Just one? Only one? Simply one? One of each? Why only one apple? Why only one peach? Why one, simply one, only one? One of each? Oliver Tolliver tried to explain. He said that the reason was perfectly plain. If he had everything fit from the roof to the floor, and each thing was perfect, why bother with more? What do you think about that? Do you think maybe he has enough to share? He only has one of each thing. But now there's how many? How many characters do you see? I see the main character, Oliver Tolliver. Now a new character came in our story. That's Pagody Small. She's also a character. What kind of animal is she? That's right, she's a cat. And we have a dog character and a cat. Did you know characters can be animals in stories? Wow. Let's see what happens. But Pagody answered, I cannot agree. It may be for you, but it isn't for me. There's one chair to sit in and one plate to eat on, and only one footstool to prop up your feet on. One cup, one saucer, one pear and one peach. Oh dearie, how dreary to just have one of each. A guest in your one of each house does not fit. It's made for one person, and you, sir, are it. It's perfect for one, sir, if you're on your own. And so, sir, I'll go, sir, and leave you alone. Oh. Oliver Tolliver, if you look at his expression, let me put it close. Does he look happy? She's leaving? He looks kind of sad, doesn't he? He was so happy to have her come over, but she doesn't think there's enough for her to stay. Then Oliver Tolliver looked all around, and he looked up and down, and he looked in and out. And he saw that what Pagody said was quite true. His one of each house was not suited for two. Yet one thing was missing. His one of each things never came to an end. Yet one thing was missing. He hadn't one friend. Oliver Tolliver raced out the door, and he hurried downtown, and he ran into each store. And in each store he entered, he made the same speech. I'd like this one and that one, just one of each. He bought this one and that one, and when he was through, he hurried back home. And now each one was two. That's right. He got one of each thing, and he added it to the one at home. 1 plus 1 is 2. Now he's going to have 2 of everything. And when he'd arranged all his new things to fit, he liked what they looked like. He had to admit. The house was less empty. The kitchen felt new. The table seemed friendlier set up for 2. And then when he was finished, he called up Mrs. P. That's what he called Miss Pagody. And he invited her over for afternoon tea. And when she arrived, she cavorted with glee. What do you think that means? That's right, she was really happy, gleeful. And she said with delight, why, you did this for me? That makes her feel good. He really wanted her to come back. Why, Oliver dear, you're truly a peach. With 2, really 2? Always 2? 2 of each? When she said, why, Oliver, you're truly a peach, do you think she meant that he's actually a fruit? No. When she uses the word, you're truly a peach, in this way she means You're so sweet, like a fruit. Mm. They sat at the table in perfect accord, and they each took a teacup, and Pagodi poured. And they each had a cupcake, and when they were done, Oliver knew that 2 was better than, you're right, 1. Jolly and friendly, more cheerful, and more fun. Then, little by little, new friends came to call, and Oliver found that he was fond of them all. What a pity, he thought, there was not any more cupcakes to offer, more tea he could pour. And then he had an idea. As he opened the door, the idea that he had never thought of before. Do you think you know the idea he's going to have? That's right. I think he might share what he has left. He sharpened his knife and he polished his plate, and he asked his friends kindly if they would wait. And then he went to the cupboard, and in he did reach, and he took out his fruit. There were now 2 of each. Do you think he's going to have enough to share with all of these new characters that enter our story? Look at all these animals hungry. He carefully cut them, each plum, peach, and pear, and he passed them around the plate so that everyone had a share. And he found that he nibbled the peach, pear, and plum, that they all tasted better when each one had some. And that even though each person's piece might be small, eating with friends was really the best thing of all. And by sharing his pieces of plum, pear, and peach, each one had one. Still had one of each. Oh, that is such a nice story. Look, even when he split up all those pieces of fruit, there was enough for everybody. And everybody seemed happy. Look at Oliver's facial expression. How is he feeling at the end of the story? Look at his smile. Did you know that dogs can even smile? Yeah, animals can feel happy and sad. And in this story, all the characters were animals, weren't they? Some stories we read, the characters will be people. So a character can be an animal or a person, and we're going to be learning that this month. Thank you for joining me for my story. I hope you enjoyed it. It's my favorite, so I'm so happy to share it with you. And I'll look forward to seeing you today on Morning Meeting. Have a great day.